You have the right to remain silent.
But we'd prefer if you didn't.
Spinning the law, spinning the law.
This is Malzberg's
Spinning the law.
Spinning the Law.
Spinning the law, spinning the law.
With attorney Kendall Coffey.
All right, folks, we are back as if you couldn't tell, and we are joined by our friend Kendall Coffey, famed attorney, author of the book by the same name, Spinning the Law. Kendall, great to talk to you, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me back on, Steve.
Always my pleasure. Now, you just, well, you didn't just hear. We just heard, I should say, Congressman Marshall Blackburn of Tennessee, who happens to chair a committee that's very vital to this FCC plan to police newsrooms. And she said that it's her opinion that it would be a violation of the First Amendment if this were to take place. I've never heard of anything like this. Of course, we had the Fairness Doctrine. That went away. But sending, police, if you will, into newsrooms to find out how they choose their stories and blah, blah, blah. Is this legal?
Well, it's going to raise big First Amendment questions because, first of all, let's start out with the starting point is what a bad idea this is. I mean, and why isn't, the mainstream press in an outcry and an outrage?
I would love to know the answer to that one. Yep.
This is right on top of the First Amendment. And so, and as we know, Steve, when you talk about the First Amendment, you don't have to go in, burn down a TV station, trash a newsroom to violate the First Amendment. When the First Amendment can be violated by what they call a chilling effect. In other words, people are simply deterred or intimidated about expressing their First Amendment rights. And this seems to be exactly the kind of scenario which is going to tee up a strong challenge. And think of it this way. They're saying it's voluntary. Well, I'm a lawyer. If the Florida Bar tells me, gee, we would like to have people in your law firm hanging out watching what you do, is that okay with you? If the police, my livelihood is in their hands.
Right.
So it doesn't sound all that voluntary to me.
Yeah, it's very, very. I mean, I wonder what country we're living in sometime. I really, really do. All right, let's right. It might not be. So let me just check here because sometimes my cards are not right. This is the so-called loud music trial, which was the jury came to a verdict. I want you to hear one of the jurors known as Valerie. This is cut number 30.
Do you think Michael Dunn got away with murder?
Out about what was going on inside the jury's deliberation room.
We took a poll. There were 2 of us undecided, 2 for was justified, and the rest were not justified. We all believed that there was another way out, another option.
In an interview with ABC's Nightline, juror number 4, named Valerie, says the disagreements ultimately led to a mistrial for the most severe charge of first-degree murder. She believes Dunn was guilty.
We had a lot of discussion on him getting out of the car. The threat has now gone, and your intent is yet to still go ahead and pursue this vehicle.
All right. A lot has been made about the fact that the jury, there was a mistrial declared. I think the final vote was 9-3 on the whether it was manslaughter or something lesser. Do you believe here again, Ms. Corey, the woman in charge down there in Florida, overcharged, as many believe she did with George Zimmerman by
charge second-degree murder? Most of us
second, right, second.
Thought that was were surprised by that charge. But if the prosecution's evidence is true, Steve, this is legitimately charged as a first-degree murder. In fact, 9 jurors believe that. And so I don't think that this is a case of an overcharge. And by the way, the prosecution's gotten plenty of criticism since they didn't get a first-degree murder conviction. But Dunn is facing a minimum of 60 years.
Yeah.
So it's hard to call this a defense victory. And frankly, what happens in a trial when a witness takes a stand, and they often do in self-defense, is the witness creates a reasonable doubt because they've seen him, they've watched him in action. It may be an act, but they have seen him in person and we haven't. Then some of them are going to hold out for an acquittal, even though in this case there was a unanimous verdict on 4 other charges, as I say, very serious charges that will already land him in jail for the rest of his life.
Right, and the premeditated part of this murder 1 charge that you say is a legitimate charge would be that he didn't fire. In other words, he didn't fire. He could have drove away, or I mean, what that he fired when he got out of the car. Where's the premeditation?
Well, premeditation is thought of among most of us is taking a while, a plan, like something you have to plan out. That isn't actually what the law requires. You can form a plan and design to kill somebody in a matter of seconds. And so I think what a jury could see is that in a situation where he clearly could have walked away, instead he went into his glove compartment, got the gun out, and fired even after they were driving away in three bursts. So, no, this wasn't. He didn't wake up that morning wanting to kill anybody. But premeditation, sufficiently for legal purposes, can happen in just a matter of seconds.
All right, let's talk about this. We have New Jersey appellate court, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals panel recently overturned the concealed carry law in California, saying it was too restrictive and therefore unconstitutional. And 19 states have joined in, including Wyoming. We're going to have the governor of Wyoming on the show in a couple of days. A coalition of 19 states asking the U.S. Supreme Court to let them submit a brief supporting this New Jersey man who's challenging the restrictive, as he sees it, concealed carry laws of New Jersey. Is this unusual? Will they be allowed to do this?
Well, I think they'll be allowed to appear for the purpose of telling the Supreme Court, we think you should decide this. You've already decided that there is a Second Amendment right within the home to possess a gun. But please tell us where it goes from here, because we all need to know. We've all got a lot of laws. And the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, and I actually looked it up for your show, Steve.
How much you could send the bill? No, don't send the bill.
But it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right.
In other words, it actually doesn't have any limiting language about the home. So that's why this is an important issue. It's a controversial issue that the Supreme Court may or may not want to rush into. But with so many state laws affected and with, frankly, the importance this has to a lot of people, I think it would be helpful to have the Supreme Court take jurisdiction and tell us where the law is and give us an idea of where it's going.
Yeah, Circuit Court of Appeals. And 2 of them, I think, were Republicans, but that doesn't always hold water. Were you, just briefly here, were you surprised that they overturned the California law?
I wasn't surprised, just simply because it's not a surprise to get results on both ends in this area.
Right.
People have strongly felt opinions, and that's why the Supreme Court really should sort it out.
I agree. Kendall, thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate your time as always, sir.
Okay.
Kendall Coffey, ladies and gentlemen. And when we come back, Mark Thiessen of the Washington Post. Talk a little Olympics and hockey and history on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, and don't go away.